your algorithm,
Yep.
TikTok has got me nailed. I see
Yeah.
at least 3 videos from you a day.
Good.
What are you doing? How are you doing it? Because I want it.
Yeah. Well, first of all, I post at least 3 videos a day on it. But I don't know. It's become, I guess, just a part of my day. So before I got here, we were sitting out, outside. I was in my car. I just pulled something up and posted a video just about 3 things that, people add to their houses that add no value. So it's just become something. And I guess it's a bit of a creative out. Like I've always been creative, but not talented in the creative side of things. So I've tried the whole photography. I bought a drone once. I've done all, and nothing stuck.
I'm literally thinking about that last night.
I'm not good at it, right?
Yeah.
But so then TikTok became, I guess, this outlet where I could be creative, but also, I guess, add some value to people. And it's, I think it's just consistently, like 5 years of doing it every single day. And I think what excites me is, so you say the algorithm has nailed you, but you're obviously, I guess, the target audience if I had one, right? Like, looking at properties, talk about business, and that seems to be where the audience have grown, and it shows me that people are engaging with it, which is
so
great.
What was it before TikTok? I seen a video you did recently, and you said you'd spent a fair bit of time on YouTube.
But I started from the start. So when I started in real estate 9 years ago, I was a failed professional athlete. I really had no backing, no education, nothing else. I joined Paul Tonich as his assistant, and I was essentially just doing like property tours before really most people were. And it was just me with my camera and, hey, this is a property. My first one was 17 Kessel Court in Mount Lawley, and I just do a quick walkthrough, and then I posted that on YouTube. And then I'd post it on Instagram. So that was 9 years and did that, constantly. Instagram went okay, and then I think Instagram fell off quite a bit. And then during COVID, TikTok started, and the first one that I put up was a running video. I got like 300,000 views. I was like, oh my God, goodness. So then it just kind of naturally developed into what I was doing day to day, then into real estate. And the real estate stuff, I didn't think anyone would be interested in it, but it just took off. It went from there. So then I built the Instagram audience, which was great. Then I was like, well, I'm filming it anyway. Why don't I just put it back onto Instagram? And then I've done that. And in the last probably year, Instagram's grown from 3,000 followers up to over 9,000, and it's going, and that audience seems to be engaging as well. I do think TikTok's evolved. At the start, you'd put anything up and you'd get horrible comments on it. And I was like, oh my goodness. But I think after doing it for so long, people, I guess, seem to like what I'm posting, and then they'll engage with it, and then that's where the content comes from.
And genuinely, we were saying this before, is that what I like most about your content is it's real. It's not this theatrical, it's not very scripted. Well, it doesn't seem to be scripted.
No.
Of course, there's some sort of structure to it. And I like that, mate, because it's real.
Honestly, on that, there's not a lot of structure either, but I think I've done it so much now that naturally it becomes structured. So in our office, I tell all the reps that they've got to do it. And actually, funny enough, I went to a baby shower on the weekend, and at that baby shower, there was a lot of like guys my age, so mid-30s, very successful mortgage brokers, finance guys. One guy owns a car yard, one guy's in new homes, so just kind of that group. Every one of them came up to me and were like, we need to get the socials right. And 2 of them have hired people to do it for them, and that's great. There is that. But I find if you have it that structured, yes, there's a place for it, but it becomes a bit of a chore as well. And you worry about it being perfect. But if it's just you throwing your phone up in the car, who gives a shit? If it's
genuinely.
good, it's good. If it's not, then I'll post another one in a couple of hours.
Well, that's right. But I think probably the message there is just post.
100%.
Yeah.
I think so. I think, and I say that with a little bit of jest to it. Don't post absolute crap, but make it somewhat relevant, and you'll see the audience. And who knows? And obviously, it's like, why are you doing it? Do you just want to become famous on TikTok? Right. Do you want to be known for? Because you could post, I could post about whatever. You could go, all right, I'm going to go from what I'm wearing now to being some men's fashion expert, and you'll find the audience. But is that what you want to be in?
Is that you're true to yourself?
Exactly.
Man, and you know what? I'm still working that space out, right? Because I posted a video a few weeks ago, which was just a spare of the moment thing. And there's this local, what I thought was a barbecue shop in Rockingham. It's actually a restaurant.
Okay.
Anyway, so a local content creator said, hey, look, I just visited this restaurant. It's a barbecue place, ribs and everything. And I was like, what the hell? I put a comment on her post, on her TikTok, and said, oh my God, I thought they sold barbecues. I didn't know it was a restaurant. Then I got 150 likes on that comment. I went, well, there's something to this, right? So I jumped in my car, went down there on my way to the gym.
Yeah.
I stood at the front, got the mechanics over to the left. They're all like looking at me like, what's this fool doing, right? I felt super uncomfortable. I was like, nah, I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it. I've got a bit of self-pride. I got my phone out and I said, hey, thanks to this local content creator, Steph De Silva, she's let everyone know that this is actually a restaurant. Yeah. Man, 7,000 views, which is big for me, right? 7,000 views organically, 7,000 views. And everyone's like, oh my God, I thought the same thing.
Yeah. One of my good friends, and this is the other thing, it's great. Like if you're doing it that way, it's great for local businesses. Obviously, Perth has an influx of local businesses that I think are underexposed, not through anything that anyone's doing wrong. One of my friends, Dan Kakamo, he was a real estate agent. He has started a cafe called the Coffee Cabinet in Osborne Park, and it's like in the warehouse area.
Man, I've been there.
Park. Have you?
Yeah,
unreal. Best sandwiches in WA.
Yeah.
He now has had he's become popular now, which kind of sucks because I used to go in there, have my own little table.
Very busy, isn't it?
He would come over and chat with me, but he's had some of these Perth content creators go, oh my God, look at these sandwiches, and now he needs to expand. He needs to essentially build out bigger.
The power of social media, mate.
It's unreal.
It is so cool.
And it's free. This is something, because I've spoken, luckily enough, I've been fortunate to speak to the Western Force, to Cricket WA. I'll be chatting to a couple of other, companies within my industry now as well. But the biggest thing, it's free. You don't need the huge budget behind it. And once again, the professional videos, I love them. They're great. We do them for every property. But they're $1,000 each. Yeah. So, if I'm posting 3 times a day, if you're going to do that for 150 times a year, you've got to get another mortgage to pay for your videos.
Yeah. And they help. I think I reckon that videography is probably the step forward for selling property.
I agree.
But it's trying to convince the client
for sure
to
100%.
Part with
I do think on that, for anyone that's listening in real estate right now, it does get to a point where if it's proven, it's not even a question
100%.
Anymore. So with all of our marketing, when we list a property, it's about $5,500, and I don't sit there and go over each individual step for it because they trust that we're going to do the right thing with it. It is another thing in this industry. I do think the videos can skew a bit too much agent-centric, and the house is an afterthought. So you do have to have that balance of, yes, you can do your introduction or whatever, but you've got to be able to show the house. Otherwise, what are they paying for? If you're taking someone else's money to do 10 slow motion shots of you touching the kitchen counter, it's outrageous, but that's what people do.
Yeah. So it's self-promotion, right?
For sure.
Yeah, I totally get it. Mate, now, Corey, for anyone that's listening that doesn't know your background, I want to start from as young as you're willing.
Okay.
And then let's go all the way to where you are now with your own business in real estate under the agency.
Yep, the agency.
Take me through, because I actually think that listeners are going to be shocked at how diverse your background is.
Yeah, it's a bit all over the shop. So from a very young age, and I guess I owe it to my family, my dad was a talented sportsman. He was an Olympic baseball player. He also played waffle footy for East Perth. So I followed in those footsteps, played, junior sport going all the way through to the point where I was All-Australian for both the baseball and football. Football, we had a great club. I'll put myself in there, but Jack Darling, Dave Swallow, Brandon Matera, Alex Fasolo, just an unreal group. Reece Conker was in our team as well. Anyways, it got to a point where I had to choose which path I was going to go down after state schoolboys footy. I elected to go the baseball route and got drafted when I was 16 years old. So that was in 2009 to the San Diego Padres. At that time, it was the 3rd highest signing bonus. You get a sign-on fee from there. So they gave me this $500,000 American to sign, which obviously took my interest away from football. Did that for 6 years. So myself and my girlfriend at the time, who's now my wife, we essentially moved to America. Did 6 years in Arizona, Oregon, Indiana, California. And then West Coast Eagles reached out to me because they introduced a Category B rookie rule. So you could sign on as a rookie, sit outside the salary cap. Came back and I was with West Coast for 2.5 years there. Had a you couldn't even call it an average career. Played 46 minutes in the NAB Cup and we got beaten by 120 points to Adelaide.
Right.
But, a great experience.
Yep.
Then after that, played for Subi for a year. Thought I was going to get re-signed. Never happened.
Yep.
Went on did labor hire jobs,
right.
so that really grounded me.
Yeah.
Delivering printers in Baldivis and then chips to Red Rooster and bowling plants on the side of the highway going to Yanship. Got my first big boy job actually here in Myaree on McCourt Street with it was called Altitude as a high performance gym, and I owe so much to Tracy McVie. She gave me a crack at that. Since then, went into real estate, and I've sold her house. I've sold her a house. I've sold her son's house. I helped her daughter buy a house. So there's a really good connection. And as I said, I owe a lot to Tracy, just a lovely person. From that, went into real estate as an assistant with Paul. 50 grand a year, no commission. Did that for a few years, worked up to a point where I was getting a commission split on things, and then probably 4 years later became a 50-50 business owner. We opened our office in Wembley under the agency. And then since then I've been trying to, grow that business as well.
That is the most epic resume I've ever heard from someone.
Answer.
But it's not long-winded.
Yeah.
That is a crazy, crazy story. So now let's unpack that.
Okay.
So you're at that age where you've got this. Well, I mean, every kid's dream. I've got 2 professional sporting outlets that I can go. I can go down to the typical AFL route, which is typical for the Australian context. But then you've got the Americans asking you to come play baseball. Where was the mind going? What were you thinking then? Where do I go? Of course, there's a financial objective there. Hey, they pay. How did you make that decision?
It's such a hard, and going back, would I do the same? I don't know. Probably would have had a crack at football. I think football would have been the easier way to get to the top level because, without sounding like an arsehole, it's projected to be a top 10 draft pick. And if I look at the guys in our state team that did, once again, the guys that I've said, like Dave Swallow went number 1 overall. We had Jack Darling had a big career. Blaine Wilson, all of these guys had good careers.
Yeah.
So I think that probably would have been a quote-unquote easier. The work would have still been tremendous, but to be an Australian going into America's biggest sport, I think that was what attracted me. And baseball, we are a baseball family and huge network. So it was kind of that, crack at the dream type of thing.
Yeah.
And I don't...
And family legacy, right?
Exactly. I don't regret it at all. Obviously, I wish it could have panned out and I would have still been playing there. I see one of my roommates, Max Fried, he just signed a $280 million contract right now. So, seeing that, yes, I'm super happy for him, but there's also part of you that's gone, oh, yeah, that could have been me. But
that would have been nice.
Yeah. But yeah, so that was kind of it. It wasn't, I loved one more than the other. It just, I think baseball, it's just a rarer opportunity in my opinion. And I really wanted to have a crack at that. Didn't pan out. It's such a hard, it could have panned out, but at some point, I think I was 23 over there, they signed another guy, Hunter Renfro, who went on to have a tremendous career. He was playing ahead of me, so I just wasn't playing. They weren't going to trade me either for whatever reason, and it just kind of fizzled out. It became not enjoyable anymore, and that's when West Coast picked up. So,
so how do you navigate that? That must be really challenging, right? Because
for sure.
you put in all this effort I think a lot of people, certainly me, I forget how much has gone into it from very young.
For sure.
To be ready for that elite level at that young age and then get there and then things that are outside of your controls, they just stop moving in different directions.
And that's my numbers were always good over there. I wasn't the greatest, but it's one of those ones where people have had tremendous careers who had similar numbers or stats to what I did. So it's hard to, there is always that part of it that you feel sorry for yourself. But in terms of navigating, it is difficult. You have to have a good support system. My parents are brilliant. Megan, my wife, she was with me every step of the way. So, it's just one of those things. It's not even something you could draw out in a plan and say to a young kid that's about to sign, this is what you've got to do. And everyone tries because there is a good crop of Australians who have done it and they give you their advice. But once you're over there, you're over there. You're surrounded by Americans, you're surrounded by guys from Mexico, Venezuela, Dominican Republic, Japan, Korea. It's just this melting pot of everything. And yes, you're there, you're part of a team. But minor league baseball is a strange thing because you are part of a team and you want to win, but your teammate is also your competitor.
Yeah.
Right? One of you is getting promoted.
Yeah.
And I talk about Hunter Renfro, lovely guy, so nothing against him. It wasn't anything to do with him. He got drafted in a super high slot. We were the same position. We were roommates at the time. So we were actually good friends. but then he was playing over me every day. So I was like, you're happy for your mate, but also
you want that
wanna
opportunity
play.
too.
Yeah, 100%. And then when I was playing, I was doing well. He got promoted, and that's when I hate saying the politics of it because it sounds like an excuse, but it genuinely is. Like it takes one, I guess, step for your whole trajectory to change. And unfortunately, it didn't happen for me. And you know what? I also hung up the towel. I didn't get released. I retired, quit from it all. So, there's also that.
I want to dig into that, Corey. You said that you were a failed athlete.
Yeah.
I don't think so.
Yeah, I know. I always say that though.
Yeah, I don't think that's crazy. I don't think you're giving yourself enough credit.
Yeah, I guess because I was professional from so young, and this is something that I've had to, backtrack, and, I've just started playing baseball again last year as like a fun thing because I was professional for so long, from so young, it wasn't, just playing for fun. It was playing for your job. So in terms of, I do say failed professional athlete, like I didn't get to where I was going to go. And that's something that I've, always got to live with. I'm still super grateful for that opportunity. And when I talk to other people, and it's probably something, just perspective, I should step back and go, well, what I did was actually pretty cool, and talking to the young kids, because it can come across wrong. Like there's, kids playing baseball right now who are super good, or football who just like, I've spoken about him before, Kieran Butcher. I played on the state team with him. He ended up being state captain. He's one of the best football players I've ever seen. Never got the chance to be on an AFL lift. And I have no doubt that if he did, he actually turned into a client. I sold his house in Innaloo. But if he did, he could have had a 300-game career.
Yeah.
So, I've got to be grateful for the opportunity that I did have as well.
I was not ready for this to go down this path, but I want to dig in, right? So how did you navigate that? Because obviously you've worked so hard to get there, then you can see it in the flesh that it's probably not working out how you want it to work out.
Yeah.
How do you stay positive-minded about that? How do you...
So I can actually break that down because I've done a lot of thinking. So with the baseball side of things, the football opportunity came up. So I was like, okay, well, trade off this for that. With football, I was playing good football. I probably went to West Coast at the wrong time. They went from being pretty horrible to losing in a grand final, then winning a grand final. So, and once again, going back to other people, not just myself, like we had guys like Kane Lucas, Brant College, guys that could seriously play who weren't getting a game because the best 18 were going very well and playing in a grand final. So, that's always something you've got to live with. But then post-football, and this is something that I took seriously, whether it happened to be in real estate or doing anything else, I didn't want to waste the last, whatever it was, 11 years of my life. So I wanted to make sure I took the same ethos, mindset, work ethic into whatever it may be, and it happened to be real estate. And then from that, I think real estate's the closest job that I could compare to a sport.
Yeah.
Obviously, I'm sure there's other things, but being uneducated, I didn't want to go to university for 4 years. At that time, I was about to get married. We always wanted to have kids, so that was I didn't want to have to go to university for 4 years to do it. Yeah. So I wanted to be able to use those networks, and I have. I've now sold and helped people buy from sporting backgrounds, and it doesn't just stop at baseball and football now. It's become, like I said, I spoke to the Western Force boys about building their personal brand. I've spoken to Cricket WA, and I'm sure that's going to be something that will grow more and more.
Yeah.
And that's something that I'd like to take a bit of responsibility with, because I've seen so many athletes in my position, all ones that never actually got the chance. Once sport finishes, and so many athletes, that's their life, that's what they are. Once sport finishes, they're very lost, and they don't quite know what to do, and they hang on to this dream that's probably not going to happen. So it's like, well, how can you use everything you've learnt from sport and make yourself have a great career somewhere else?
100%.
Or an impact. Doesn't even have to be a career.
It happened to me. I was in the Navy for 12 years.
Yeah.
And then when I decided to leave, I lost that camaraderie. I lost that mateship. I lost that sense of purpose, and I really lost myself, mate. Yeah. Because my identity, and I spoke about this openly with my psychologist, right? I had one pillar, and that one pillar was leading seaman acoustic warfare analyst, submariner, Ryan Robertson, and that was me. I was Navy. I was proud. My family were proud of me being Navy.
For sure.
As soon as that was fractured, and I had no other identity, and that fell over, my world come crashing down.
100%.
You know, and it's only now through this rebuild, so the last 5 years just trying to build who Ryan is without Navy.
Yeah.
Man, it's not easy.
It's not, but it is exciting. And I've seen it. So my business partner, Paul Tonich, he was a detective. He was a hostage negotiator, all of that. You know, that career came down to an end. And he was the same, but then launched himself into real estate. And he's been doing this for 30 years now and consistently been at. So he was like reward number one for 6 years in a row. Then, you know, took the foot off a little bit just to sustain a lifestyle because this game you can end up divorced and not talking to your kids, which is what I don't want to do.
Yes.
But he's still been, you know, acting at a high level for 30 years, which is another thing that's hard to do. But I find the people who do the best in this industry and probably most industries have had some type of adversity in it. And I'm not saying that, you know, being an athlete was, you know, like growing up homeless or anything like that, but you went through these battles that other people aren't exposed to, which I'm very grateful for.
What's the metric of success, right? That would be the hardest part, because every time, especially growing up, and bear in mind, I'm not a professional athlete, never have been, right? But I would imagine you're going through local footy and then you get selected for the local representative squad, like Peel Thunder.
Yeah, for sure.
You get to Peel Thunder as a 16-year-old in academy, like that's an achievement, right? Now the next achievement is to get into the draft.
Yeah.
You get into the draft, that's an achievement. So by all metrics, you've nailed it, right?
Yeah.
You get through draft, you get selected into an AFL team, you get put on a list.
Yeah.
Holy shit, you've just been put on a list.
Yeah.
Now you get to the club, you get selected, you play, you do your hammy, you can't get back from injury, your career's done.
100%.
Like the amount of benchmarks that you have hit.
100%.
Like you're killing it.
I look at, you know, Daniel Venables from West Coast. He did all of that and he was going to be this unreal athlete, won a grand final in his first year, had to retire due to concussions. Like, how do you navigate? And we had another guy, Damien Kavka, freak athlete, like broke the 2K record, could have been anything, had some genetic bone disorder in his foot that forced him to medically retire. And he, I believe now, I hope I'm not talking about it, he's got a very successful electrician company. Now I see his stuff on Facebook, but, you know, that was his start. It wasn't even like he had a crack at, I don't even know how many waffle games he played, but he came over, he was, as I said, freak athlete, like one of the most shredded guys I've seen. So he had it in him, and then to have that ripped away because you've got a piece of bone missing in your foot, it's unreal. So I think there's another, there's a whole, we can go down that wormhole for a long time, and there's been so many people like that. But one thing I will say, and I think the, you know, military, Navy, so one of our guys, Thomas Whitford, I believe he was a naval officer. I don't want to talk out of turn, but it's that same type of mindset. I've seen so many guys come into real estate with that type of background and end up having brilliant careers. Yeah.
And a shout out for your business. You're looking to hire someone at the moment, unless that's an old TikTok.
No, very, very slowly. So funny enough, I in this studio, you know, did a podcast with Patty Stanley. She runs the Keys to the Hustle podcast. 2 days after that, she called me, and now she works in our office as well.
Nice.
So so we're hiring very quietly, very small. So our team now, I think we've got 5 reps, and then our team, so myself and Paul, and then 2 assistants, cadets, junior, whatever you want to call them, Jack and Grace. Brilliant. So we only want to add good people to our office. I've been a part of the whole big office network type of thing. Not for me. I just want to go into an office where I'm happy, you know, have fun. Probably like what you said, the camaraderie around it. That's probably something that I've been searching for, that I've been trying to, you know, build and achieve as well.
Man, I had a boss on our submarine. His name's James Nayland. Yeah. Such a nice guy, very intelligent, very humble guy, lovely dude. And he said to me when he come on board the submarine as our UC1, he said, Robbo, I don't care if you don't know everything. Yeah. Just be a good bloke.
Yeah. 100%.
He goes, I can teach you. He goes, whatever your shortfalls are in like subject knowledge, I will teach you. I know it. He goes, all I want is good people around us.
We're that at Subi with Jared Schofield, the coach, no dickheads policy. And the boys lived by that as well, you know. And so anyone that you would bring into the club, you'd have to make sure that they're
But I believe
in.
it, mate. I believe it.
100%.
You can have the most intelligent people in their field, but if they're not good people to be with and work with, it disrupts everything.
Yeah. And I think on that, not everyone has to be the same, right? You don't have to have an office full of rah-rah, everyone's same person.
Yeah.
Like we've got one guy in our office, Adam, super quiet, pops in and out when we see him, then will randomly pop up with a big triplex site in Yokine worth a couple million. And every time he calls me, I'm like, mate, do you need more from me? He's like, nah, I love it. And I'm like, brilliant. Great. Like, he's a
go-getter.
100%. Yeah. But he does it in his own way. His kids do more sport than anyone. So he's at cricket Saturday, Sunday, basketball Friday. He's got something on all the time where I'm like, but like, are you good? We don't need anything. And he's happy with it. So we're going to the New Molly's pub in Eastwick Park next Monday. And that'll be for him, like, great. Now I don't have to see you guys for another month.
Yeah. That's his social license.
Exactly right. Yeah. So not everyone has to be in the office at all times. And, like any type of team that you're a part of, it's as I said before, it's a melting pot of all different personalities. And when it works, it works.
Yeah.
I find that you look at the great, AFL teams that have won a grand final. You look at West Coast, probably not the most recent one because they haven't had that history. But like, when Juddy, Cousins, Kerr, Embley, when they all come back, it just seems like they're still part of the team.
Yeah.
It's brilliant to watch.
Who do you think is going to be the next coach of Essendon Football Club?
I can't imagine it's Hurdy, right?
I want it to be.
Oh, I just can't imagine.
Mate, I want it to be so bad. I said this to my wife. I'm an Essendon fan, right? I've grown up Essendon, and when the scandal happened, I got really upset because, man, Hurdy's on my screen, on my wall.
Mate, growing up,
Adam Ramanauskas, Matthew Lloyd, they were my idols. I literally had four goldfish, and they were named AFL players, right?
James Dank, was he one?
No, he wasn't. No. I had Dustin Fletcher.
Yeah.
But anyway, when I seen the news that potentially James might be coming back as coach, I swear to God, I just looked at my wife because I've been supporting Fremantle for the last 10 years. I said, if they bring back James, I'm renewing my sponsorship, my membership.
Yeah.
I only because I just feel... I mean, I wasn't there. I'll never know what happened.
And you never know what's happening.
Right? But I just felt like we really did dirty by James.
So one thing that I've seen in the back end, and this is not to make an excuse or take credit away from anyone, like, the head coach obviously has a huge impact. There is so much behind the scenes with those. Like, even when I was there, the sports science guys would tell you how much you can run, how long the training.
What was that experience like when you walked into the club for the first time, baseball or AFL, and then you've seen how the operation works? Yeah,
so baseball, you're probably not as privy to it. Like, it's a lot. Yeah, you've got your locker room and your coaches, then the rest of it's really behind the scenes. West Coast, I loved it. I thought it was super interesting. So, like, you meet everyone and you chat to the sports science guys, obviously the physios, like, pretty much it's a real open office. At least it was at West Coast when I was there. It could be different now, but I loved it. I thought it was super interesting.
Do you still have much involvement with the clubs?
No, not really. Baseball in WA, I put everything off, to be 100% honest with you. So
was
I've been doing
to draw separation to it as a cleansing?
Both, yeah. So I found I could have kept playing Waffle, and I was getting a decent paycheck for Waffle. It would have been beneficiary in my first year in real estate, but I didn't want to do anything kind of half-assed with it. Yeah. I felt if I was going to do this real estate thing, I had to really have a crack at it. So essentially for the first really 7 years, I didn't do anything with sport. And I felt, probably like we were talking about, I needed to break that identity from being Corey the athlete to then being Corey the real estate guy, which is now expanding into...
Man, that's all I knew for.
Other things. Yeah.
Which is crazy.
Yeah, and that's what I love. Like, even I look at my old bio on whether it was TikTok, Instagram, or real estate, it was all like ex-professional athletes. Now, great, that's a part of my story and I love it and I'm appreciative of it, but I don't need... If I go into someone's house and they don't know anything about that, happy days. Yeah. Because I've done what I've done now.
Yeah.
But in saying that now... I guess I feel there's some type of responsibility on my end to share that transition with 100%. The new guys.
Man, all I'm thinking is a book, a something where you can do like a TED talk, so to speak. I think there's something there, mate.
So I started playing once again baseball last year, just B grade with all my old mates. Won the grand final, which was great. But then I filled in for the A-grade team, which is a lot more of the young guys, and sitting on the bench there, because once again, I just didn't have this growing because I was professional. So sitting on the bench there with these guys who were like, I don't know, 16 to 20, they didn't shut up the whole time. They were asking me questions and everything. And I probably had to take a step back and go, oh, I actually do have some decent knowledge for these, and they want to hear it. And it was one of the best things that I did. And I did it for one game. Next year going there, I'm like, well, that's something that I should probably do more of. Because, these young kids, like I said before, not everyone's going to have the chance to go to the Major League Academy or be drafted or do college or something like that. Like, social or local baseball is their major leagues. And that's something that I've had to realize that that's not a bad thing. And that's great. I mean, that's how the sports clubs survive.
But man, you
right?
also have credibility, and it's like for a young fella looking up at you. Because I just had a fellow on before you. His name's Craig, and he's from Rockingham, and he works within the footy comps for juniors and upwards of like state teams.
Yeah,
and we were talking about influences of children and kids and our young grassroots sports. Man, one of my biggest challenges is trying to convince why they should even listen to me.
Yeah,
you've bridged that gap because you've got the experience.
In saying that, I coach my 6-year-old son's Auskip team. They don't listen to me at all.
Oh, right, yeah, but they're 6.
Exactly.
Yeah, I don't think you're ever going to win that one.
They don't listen to anyone.
Six, like it's two professional sporting outfits, and on the top scale,
for sure. Yeah, it is. It's something,
that's epic.
It is. It's something to look back, and it is good, and it's something that I do wish to share with other people. And do that as well.
So let's talk real estate, because the Perth property market right now is crazy.
Yeah.
There's a lot of news. There's a lot of I think it's 50-50, right? People think the market's going to crash.
Yep.
People think that the market's going to continue to boom.
Yep.
I want to hear your insights.
So I'm pretty vocal about it at all times, and it'll come to my detriment because I'm sure I'll put something out and it'll be brought back that I said this. But I genuinely think that post-budget, there's just so much uncertainty. Everything's up in the air. I've been saying that after really June 30, because everyone's doing their taxes. I met with my accountant the other day. Everyone's working out structures. Then I think it'll get back to a bit of an aggressive market again. Yep. We still have such low listings. Like even at 5,700 right now, it's still low. There's still demand there. I just think everyone's a bit uncertain. And what I've seen, we wrote 2 offers yesterday on properties. What I've seen in the last week is people are writing offers again. And I think it's going to kind of fizzle out. I don't think it's going to get to the, 6 months ago where we had 2,000 properties on the market. You could open a door and get 40 offers on it. But I think there's definitely going to be more offers coming through, more people coming through opens. I actually think, and, unfortunately you sit in this category. Actually, you're probably starting at the right time, but there's going to be a lot of agents who have only worked in a really good market, and I think that's definitely me. Yeah, I think it's going to be a bit of a transition to really what you're in for now. I'm so appreciative that I started in 2017 when no one came through opens, and it's something that we do really good vendor reports for our own. We know how to preface the conversations and the campaigns coming up to it, and I think if you are a young agent or an agent like yourself that's just started, it's going to be a bit of a learning curve for, you're not just going to be able to open a door and get offers on a property. So I think as well, any real estate agent listening to lean on the agents in the office who have been through this area, because, people made a lot of money in the GFC, all right? But a lot of people also left the industry. So I think there's going to be a crop of agents that just leave. And I'm seeing it now, the calls that I'm getting from people who are agents wanting to step back into an assistant role under our team because they get a salary is more this last week than I have for the last 3 years.
Right.
So, yeah.
And then how do you as a business owner filter all of those inquiries? Because obviously if there's someone that you want on your team, but then at the same time...
Well, it all goes back to, I'm happy with our team now. I've got Jack and Grace, and I think they are going to be absolutely brilliant. And, they've put in a lot of work. I've put in a lot of work with them, so we have to do right by them as well. But if there are people who are, genuine and who seem like they're going to be good, like with Paddy, I'm sending him more to the team. So our other agents in there, guys, if you're thinking about bringing someone on, which, to be honest, I believe every agent should have an assistant. I think it's something you need from the start. It'll teach you, really, you've got to you've got to find a way to cover their wage, right? And you have to
Right.
pay them $90,000. So you're going to have to find a way to make that money. It also just helps you have a more sustainable career, which is something I'm very passionate about, being married and having 2 kids. I want that sustainability. But yeah, in terms of people that come over to our office, we only take on commission-only agents right now. So they have to, have some decent production. And it's really, all right, come over to ours and we'll show you how to get from 300,000 up to $1 million in GCI. Paul and I, we were at 3 million last year, so I can teach people up to that. If you want to go 3 to 5, I can't teach you that because I've never been there.
Yeah.
But I can teach you up to 3 million. I can show you exactly how we do it and kind of what you need.
And what separates a top agent to a typical local agent?
I think systems and consistency is the biggest one, and it always will be. And just on that, because I think this industry is a bit toxic. You don't have to be a top 8, right? We never set out to go, all right, we're writing 3 million this year. And if you look at our graph, it's quite linear from, when I started, I think we're at about 970,000 GCI. Then we went to 1.4, 1.7, 2, and then the jump from 2 to 3 happened a bit quicker. But it's not like it just happened overnight. The biggest thing is past clients and referrals. So like we spoke about, my socials have become a huge thing for me where,
I'd love for you to share that story if you want.
Yeah, so that's a great one. You get to a point, or you should be aiming to get to a point where, you're no longer chasing the business and then you get the business coming to you. So one that I put out, story on TikTok, I had a lady who lives in northern WA. She essentially messaged me and just the message was so blunt. I thought nothing of it. She goes, "What are your fees to sell a house?" So I told her my fees. And then she goes, "Great. What's your office address? I'm going to send you the keys." I was like, "What?" She goes, "Yep, I'm going to postage the keys up. Here's my address. It's in Leeming. It's a full block. It's probably worth 1.4 million bucks." I was like, "Oh, really?" And she goes, "Yep, I've watched your stuff for so long. I just feel like you're the guy to sell the house.
Wow.
Sell it for me." And that was it. So I obviously had to, get her ID and send her documents and stuff to make sure I'm selling the right house. But for me to be at that point where somebody has that much faith in me just from posting 30-second videos, it's game changing. And I've had lots of other ones where, people are like, "Yep, we watch your stuff, come out and do an appraisal." And obviously most of the time they've got other agents through, which is great. But to have someone just blindly go, "You're the guy for me, here's the keys." Like, we spoke about it before. For an agent, that's like, it's a unicorn type of thing.
Yeah.
That doesn't happen.
Yeah.
This is a $1.4 million place for someone. So it's a, $30,000 commission on it. And for her to just feel so comfortable with that is something that I'm super appreciative of. I said it in the video, like now, like any other client, but especially like I want to do a really good job for her and prove that that's something that people can do.
But testament to what you're building, mate.
I agree.
Yeah, this hasn't this is like in our house with my children. We don't like to say we believe in luck.
Yeah,
we just like to say we're grateful.
Yeah,
so we're not lucky to have this. We're grateful to have this.
I agree. And on saying that, with the social side of things, if you can go through, there's thousands of videos. That I've posted. Not once have I asked for an appraisal or asked for a listing, because I do think that is something real estate agents, probably most industries, when they start getting a bit of a following, or even when they start posting stuff, it's always about me, like if you need me to come sell your house, if you want an appraisal, and people don't want that. If you just put value out for people, and you'll find what people find valuable, then that's when things start coming back to you. And that's what I've seen now. And once again, super appreciative of it. It does get to a point as well, though, where you become that, attraction agent where people are calling. Now more than ever, I don't want to lose that as well. So it's not like you can just get to that point and go, all right, people call me now and stop prospecting, stop posting, all that. Because I've seen it. I've seen great agents in this industry 3 years ago who are no longer in there just because they stopped, right? They just thought they've got enough referral business and it's always going to keep happening.
Yeah.
And it just doesn't. And a couple of months, a couple of months in real estate where there's no money coming in, you can only sustain it for so long.
Mate, we were chatting about this with Natalie last week. Like December, we had a really good month. We sold 5, and then January, February, March, we sold none.
Yeah.
So all of a sudden, here I am feeling like I'm Elon Musk in December. Yeah. And then I was like, where?
And that's what people do. They do that. They'll go out, they'll buy a new car, they'll get a mortgage, and then it's like, oh shit, here come the bills. I've got nothing over here. So then they get caught in these, I won't even name the names, but these commission advancing companies that'll...
Oh, okay. I've never heard of it.
Oh, you'll get the emails soon.
Oh, okay, right.
So essentially, they'll see that you've sold a property.
Right.
It's under contract. They'll advance you the commission on it, which then you've got to pay them back with interest. And people fall into the trap. They go, great, I've got 6 properties under contract. I'll pull 80 grand out of it. They don't calculate the interest on it. So then when you get your commission that's come in, you already have to pay them back, plus you've got interest on it. So then it's like a credit card.
Wow.
But there's companies that do it. Stay away from them. I'm sure there's a place for them, and that probably comes from a position that I'm pretty lucky to be in, but stay away from them.
Yeah, it doesn't sound good, does it?
No.
All right, mate. What's your advice for first home buyers? It's obviously the budget's just come out.
Yep.
Everyone's still a little bit confused.
For sure.
There's a lot of people in the market think that they're priced out.
Yeah.
Any advice for first home buyers?
And I know it's rich coming from myself, coming from an agent, but I was in that position as well. I really just buy something. And I don't say that as in buy anything, but if a property works and it's affordable to you, you're not stretching yourself too much, go for it. I think with the rise of social media, every single video I see about property has become about flipping this and investing that and doing this. It's great to make fun of the boomers. We love doing it. But they lived in their properties for a long time, right? They bought them, they've lived in them for 40 years. So I think time heals all wounds for the most part. My first property, I've spoken about it before, I lost 120 grand on it. But when I sold it, it was a downturn in the market, and I managed to get into a property in Scarborough that was probably a better property for a reasonable price because of that.
Yeah.
But I find with real estate, like once your foot's in the door, and you've just got to find a way to make that happen.
Yeah.
And I always preface this, I'm no advisor, right? I'm just an aide. I can just talk about what I've done.
Yeah.
And I've made mistakes in property, but it seems, and from my clients, the ones that do get into the market are the ones that do well in the end. The longer you wait, sure, you wait for prices to come down. You're still paying rent somewhere else. Just do it.
Where do you see Perth property market in the next 5 years?
Well, I read a lot, and I listen to one of my mates, Lachlan Delahunty, who does the Folio podcast and
the Ryan Robertson Show.
The Ryan Robertson Show, definitely talk about submarines. Mate, I think there's growth here. I really do. I don't think and I can't say ever, but I've been pretty, positive that 4 years we've had before is going to be a bit of a once in a generation type of thing. But it's still Perth. There's still a lot of people coming in. There's still a lot of people that want to buy houses, and I think there's going to be growth through here.
I'm going to do some quick fire questions, mate, to finish up. AFL career or real estate career?
AFL career if it played out. However, it comes to an end still with everyone. Look at Andrew. Andrew Embley, he's selling properties right now. Had a brilliant career. So there's not too many people who can have the AFL career, then transition to AFL media and go from there, So I think brilliant AFL career, live out your dream, child. That's what you want to do. But it's the stuff that you do after. Most AFL players finish at 27 years old?
Yeah,
body's broken. You got a lot of life to live after that.
Yeah, and hopefully you were financially sensible.
Yeah, exactly. Which a lot of them are. I'll give that credit to AFL players. Like when I got there, so when I was in America, everyone had Ferraris, Lamborghinis, Porsches.
Really?
Oh, mate, everyone. That was the thing. I had my little Nissan 350Z driving around, bought it, put it in a storage shed.
Lucky you didn't get the Ferrari.
Exactly, but that is what they do. When I came to West Coast, I rocked up in my old Ford into the car park, and I'm looking around, I'm like, where are all the cars? And everyone's just got Hiluxes, and I think Shannon Hearn had an old SS Commodore. That was like the best thing, probably $70,000 car. But they all seem to be quite reasonable with their money. Do you know what? In talking about property investing, that is something that AFL players seem to do very well.
And bars.
That too.
Yeah, I don't know if it's a West Australia thing or I know it's a Melbourne thing.
I know Coxie had his Beluga restaurant in Claremont, so that didn't go too well. But they do. They're pretty good at divert. I mean, Jeremy McGovern, he has his plumbing company. He's got his charity. He's got a lot of things going on there. I was Josh Kennedy. He had a little Josh Kennedy small moves where he did moving vans and I don't know, beyond rest. They just seem to have a lot of things, which is great.
Best player you've ever played with can be AFL or baseball.
Baseball was the fella that I talked about before, Max Fried. So he's World Series winner now, just signed a $280 million contract, left-handed pitcher. So he was, technically I was his first roommate where he was straight out of high school. So seeing, little Max, the guy that my wife and I used to make fun of because he didn't know anything, to now seeing where he is now. And we're trying to plan a holiday to go to New York just so we can stay in. I assume he's got a penthouse apartment. You got to have something nice.
Yeah.
But so he's just another level. And he was always going to be that guy.
Yeah.
In terms of football, I said it before, Kieran Butcher, and he represented WA. He was just unreal. Like both sides of the body, just a very good football player.
Yeah. The most underrated Perth suburb?
Good question. For a long time, I've been saying Balcatta because I think it's very undervalued right now, and I still do a little bit. It's a lot of, old Europeans that are in there that just never sell. So I still think Balcatta is up there. Now, and maybe it's because I live in Mount Lawley, I think Bedford and Embleton are both undervalued through there. Like Bedford, there's a lot of big blocks which will be subdivided. Embleton, the same. There's a lot of corner blocks. I don't know, there seems to be a lot of streets with big corner blocks through there. I think they're pretty good. South of the river, and this is more so repeating what I hear from Lachlan and stuff, Spearwood seems to be the play right now. It's obviously pretty close to the coast. I mean, with AUKUS and everything, whatever's going to happen with that when they give us our 80-year-old submarines, that seems to be picking up through there as well. So there you go.
Cool. All right, mate. Last one. One business book that everyone should read.
Very good question. Diary of a CEO is very good, I think, in terms of time frames, setting things out. And then the other one, and I believe it gets mixed reviews, but I really liked Atomic Habits. I don't know if you can just class it as a business book, but once again, setting out your Atomic Habits is just, making, I don't know if you've read it, making small changes in your day-to-day life, which will essentially equate to something big in the future.
20-year-old self,
yeah,
sitting here right now, what advice would you give to him?
So it's advice that I've received many times over, and I hated hearing it, and I never listened to it, but control what you can control. It is the worst advice to hear when you're in that type of time, but it's true, right? There's so many times in your life, and even in real estate where you try to save deals, you try to do this, you don't tell people things, and mate, it's all stuff you take home. You end up wearing yourself down mentally for shit that you can't control anyway.
Literally.
So that'd be the advice, and I just say
signal to noise ratio.
Advice. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Just take the advice.
Corey, mate, thanks so much for coming on the show. Really appreciate it. Not only just about your background, your history, but I'm also a big fan.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Mate, thanks for coming on. Good to see everybody. And reach out to Corey if you're looking to sell a house.
Brilliant. Thank you so much.
Good to see you.
Appreciate it.
Well done, mate.
Thank you.